Hey guys, we're going to talk about writing your editorials. Today I've got a slideshow I'm going to just talk through real quick, and then I will share it with you so you can go back and read certain slides specifically. I just have a couple of things I want to point out directly before you get started. So first of all, we know that an editorial is supposed to change public opinion. It might make them want to take action on an issue. It might just make them see your side. But basically, it is filled with opinion. There are three types of editorials that often appear in newspapers, sometimes on news programs like the news on TV. The first one would be to explain a position that the paper or the TV show took on a certain issue. So there was an article that appeared maybe on Monday, and on Wednesday there's an editorial kind of explaining the viewpoint of that opinion, of that article. How does the newspaper feel about what they said to you, what they printed? We're not going to be worrying about that kind. That's not the type that we're going to be writing. We're going to be looking at 2 or 3. 2 is talking about criticizing a current situation, and its purpose is to get the readers to see the problem. And for some of you, the problem that you picked, that might be the best you can do. You might have picked something so huge, so globally challenging that a solution isn't easily seen. And so you might have to write this type of editorial. I'm hoping most of us can write number 3, the persuasion type. And this is where you are focused on the solution. You're focused on what can you do to solve this problem and how do we go about doing it. So you'll have to decide which one fits your topic better, but I'm hoping most of us can do a 3, focusing on the solution. Stay positive. This big checklist is full of little tips and tidbits to help you write. And like I said, I will share this with you so you'll be able to read these a little bit more closely. But I want you to focus on number 11. It tells you to keep it to 500 words. All that's saying is keep it short, because when you're writing a newspaper article, usually you have a number of inches that you were supposed to fill. Like in that column, you have a 3-inch article. And so they kind of know how many words that is. You know me, I'm not giving you a limit. It's just telling you to keep it short. Make every word count. It says every work count. I am aware of the typo. So I get the bird book. But the last bit is the part that I wanted to make sure you understood. Never use the word I. I know it's your opinion. I understand that you're voicing what your thoughts are. However, putting I think down as a 6th grader doesn't have a lot of validity. Okay? Even if some scientist says I want to know their credentials before I believe them. If Neil deGrasse Tyson talks to me about something in space, he can say I understand his credentials. But really we want the community of people who agree behind you. So you might say, scientists often suggest or use the name of the scientist when you're quoting, obviously. But we're talking about popular public opinion. Lots of people, bandwagon approach. People agree with you. That's the way that we're going to get people to see that you don't stand alone. Okay, and so no I. All right, so here are kind of the steps to writing your paper. You're going to start with just an explanation, an overview of what the problem is, the 5 W's and H. So like a normal newspaper article: who, what, when, where, why, and how. This does a little bit of that. It says members of Congress, in effort to reduce the budget, are looking to cut funding from public television. So it doesn't say where, and it doesn't say when, but it can be implied that it's happening currently and that it's happening, in the congressional offices, sort of thing. Okay. Find quotes to support that, to explain it. All right. At the end of your lead paragraph, you need to state your position on this issue. Okay, so that's your thesis statement. Remember, last sentence in the paragraph should let everyone know what side of this argument do you stand on. Okay, this is going to sound really backwards, but after you introduce us to the problem, you want to tell us what the opposition says. Okay? It says Republicans feel that these cuts are necessary. Other cable stations can pick up the shows, and only the rich watch public television anyway. So these are the different things that this author found as far as opposition to his view. He thinks that government should fund public television, and these are the arguments that he found against that. The reason that we want to present the opposing view first is because if you're talking to, or if a reader opposes you and they read your opinion, they're going to shut down and they're going to stop reading. So if you're trying to convince me that sushi is terrible food, and you start right out saying that, I don't agree with you. There are lots of kinds of sushi I adore. I'm not going to keep reading. I'm going to think you and I don't have enough in common for your article to speak to me or to matter to me. So if we present the opposing viewpoints first, we can hook those readers in, okay? And only their strong opinions. So here's an example. Republicans believe public television is a sandbox for the rich. So they used a cute little quote that we have to interpret, meaning that's the place that rich people play when they want to relax. But then the author continues and says, however, statistics show most people who watch public television make less than $40,000 a year. So you just said, here's what my opposition says. Here's an expert, because it says statistics, and then it opposes it. Okay? Now, you just validated your own opinion because you showed that something that your opposition believes isn't true. Now, the last bullet is really important, though. It says concede a valid point of the opposition. So if they have an argument you can't seem to push away, argue away, you need to agree that it's valid. There are always two sides to every argument, and you need to acknowledge that. You're going to appear a lot more rational if you do. People are going to see that you're not so one-sided that you don't have any valid arguments because you can't see past your own thinking. So if you can concede that a point is valid, and then show, okay, yep, they've got this valid point, but I have this, and this. I have lots more to support my side. Your argument's going to seem a lot stronger. Analogy is a great way to teach opinions. So, for example, taking money away from public television is robbing children of their education. That's not true. We're not coming into your homes and taking your education away from you, but it's an analogy or a metaphor for the fact that public television has done much to help children learn throughout the last 60 years or so. So that analogy helps argue the point. Okay. The second situation is called a cultural allusion. Remember, allusion with an A means referring to something that is a popular known fact, either from literature, like if you use something about following the yellow brick road, that's an allusion to Wizard of Oz that lots of people would understand. And that's another way to compare, using a comparison to your situation with something that a lot of people will be able to see and understand is going to solidify your argument as well. Conclusion. Punch it up. Really challenge, it says give solutions to the problem or challenge the reader to be informed. Here's their example. Congress should look where real wastes exist, perhaps in defense and entitlements, to find ways to save money. Digging into public television's pockets hurt us all. So they just said, hey, let's find another solution. Or end with a rhetorical question, a question that doesn't require an answer, like, if the government doesn't defend the interests of children, who will? Okay, so you want to leave your paper with something that everyone can think about a little bit, and don't close it. Okay, editorials often stay kind of open-ended because you're trying to convince folks that there's more to do. Okay, so think about that. And then there's just credit to the person who put the slideshow together. All right, so we are going to start writing your editorials next week. We're going to take some time to do some editing of them, peer editing. And so I need it done. You've got Thursday, Friday, and Monday to get your rough draft together. Okay, and then I want us to be ready on Tuesday to do some peer editing. I'm talking about like the 21st or 22nd of April to have it done by. All right. Thanks, folks.